All right. Welcome everybody to our panel about cross-chain meme culture. It's glad to see the full house here. We just want to do a quick vibe check and make sure that everybody is on the same wavelength. Who of you has seen a meme? Raise your hand. All right. Who of you has made a meme? Nice. Who of you got more than 100 likes on Twitter for it? You don't count, Stani. You don't count. You tweet one emoji, you get over 100 likes. All right. Yeah, cross-chain meme culture. As you can see, everybody is like here constantly confronted with memes. Memes play a vital role in the community and in an ever-evolving role also. We want to do a quick test here to see who is how far with like the meme 101. Do you guys know Guess Your Pokemon? Who knows that? Raise your hand. Right, you see the silhouette of a Pokemon, you guess it. We do it the other way around. I'll show you the caption of a meme, and whoever guesses it right gets 10 ETH.
Sponsored by Joseph.
Why are you laughing, guys? No, whoever guesses it right gets 10 ETH on Girly. So let's start with an easy one. This goes back in history. What's up, what's up, what's up? Hey. 10 ETH, 10 ETH, 10 ETH. Oprah style. Next one is also deeply rooted in our history. I'm in it for the tech.
Bitcoin gold shark dude.
Oh shit, look at this guy! 10 ETH to Big N. I'm in it for the tech. Finally is also a fund called that Dean and I run. I'm in it for the tech. Right. Italic Buterin. Boom. 10 ETH to you. Still one of my favorites. Next one is also easy. They don't know I own this song's non-fungible token. Yeah, the guy standing in the corner. I want to go home. Nice. Thank you, everybody. You see, we're every day confronted with memes. And memes are, like I said, a vital role in our community. And it's ever evolving with the culture. And Elon Musk even tweeted, "Who controls the memes controls the universe." I know it's very kitsch to quote him, but I think this is quite spot on. So let's dive into our panel about cross-chain meme culture. Nice. Why don't we start with a little introduction round? Go ahead. Dean has the microphone. You can start.
Oh, this works. I'm Dean. In 2017, I was called a troll. Now I just work at a fund. No longer a troll.
Hi, I'm Joe. I work at Sushi, and I like to do the memes sometimes.
Yeah, I'm John Paller. I'm the co-founder of SporkDAO, which is formerly ETH Denver, or ETH Denver still exists, but SporkDAO is the new meme for our DAO. And I'm also the co-founder of Opolis.
My name's Eva. I work at the Graph Foundation and eGirl Capital.
I'm Anna, and I write code.
Nice. The only one on this panel who does a real job. Including myself. Nice. So, John, let's start with you. ETH Denver, as you said, very social event, community-oriented. How important are memes for you, and what does your department of memes look like? What do they do?
Department of memes.
You don't have one?
No, we have a few people that contribute to getting drunk and coming up with really dumb things. Yes, it's open. It's permissionless. So it's really important to our community. When we first started ETH Denver, there was a ton of events that were sort of on our heels. And, you know, getting people to show up to things like this is actually kind of hard. So we decided to, like, try to make it more accessible, and we did it through memes. So the Bufficorn, which is like our most commonly known meme, is the mix between the unicorn and the buffalo, and it's like a Colorado thing. So, but like 4 years later, you see buffacorns everywhere. So it's now become sort of more of a meta meme, not just in ETH. I mean, everybody knows it from ETH Denver, but it's something now that people can relate to, because it's like everyone can be a buffacorn is how we marketed it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm actually wearing a Pega Buffacorn cloud t-shirt version. So yeah, it's like, frankly, I would say it was pretty much, in my opinion, the reason why people really got the culture of what our event was about, because it had that sort of cohesive memeing going on that people could relate to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely rings a bell, the culture. How important, and this is an open question to everybody at the panel, how important would you say is the culture in the success of a chain or a network? Please go ahead, give the mic to somebody else.
Yeah, who wants it? Go.
I mean, honestly, as a developer, like, it's just a lot more fun being in an ecosystem where people are having fun. So, like, that's my answer. I'd rather be where people are having a good time. So.
I kind of think of memes as the invisible hand, like Adam Smith's invisible hand. And so the difference between chains, like if your code was the exact same, a chain may win over the other, and that's largely based on the culture or the invisible hand. So I think it's super important.
Yeah, I think all of sushi is a meme, and it was just it was just really great timing, and Chef Nomi's a genius, whoever that may be, for naming it sushi. It's just so memeable. It's like Japanese everything, and that's attracted like very interesting people. But like yeah, who becomes a part, like who's in the culture of something, like that's what attracted to me into Ethereum initially, right? Like, and that has a lot to say with the success. Ryan Zur talks a lot about founders' likability as like a huge metric to look for in like whether he invests in a company or not. And I think about that just about every day.
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention founder likability because it's one of the main metrics we use at our fund to determine on whether we invest in something or not. Because you have examples of things where you have things like Definity, where the founder is incredibly unlikable. And then you have things like Vitalik and Ethereum, which arguably are technically inferior to what Definity may have shipped, but the founder is so much more likable and was able to garner a way larger community to join him on his journey versus like Definity or some of these other chains that you may see.
That's a very interesting point. Like we said, memes are an integral part of the culture, of the community, and what is a chain without community? It's Cardano. No, what is a chain without community? And I think you touched a very interesting point with sushi being a meme in itself. And all these DeFi projects coming up with just emojis and being more memeable than the other. Why do you think other chains aren't able, outside of Ethereum, to copy this more memeable and more entertaining approach than a rather serious approach? Or if they try it, why don't they succeed?
Oh yeah, because it's like their attempts at that are, I don't know, like cringe and off-putting. Yeah, when you see like trying to like man, all the time I talk to like different communities that are like wanting to come to sushi, and my favorite one to know that like a community is kind of shit is they'll say like, "Yo, dog, our community's super good at memes," and it'll be like I don't know, like captioned photos of everything, just like really, it's like really off-putting. I think that prevents organic growth.
So I think of memes as the new version of marketing. So if you look at traditional corporate marketing, everybody, it's very, audience-centered. It's very created and, it's very manipulative stuff. I think authentic memes, when they're made and people get it, it's like it connects with people's values and it connects with what they're about. So when you get the cringeworthy crap, which is a ton of it, you kind of sense its inauthenticity. And I have an acronym for this. It's TWTH, trying way too hard. So people that get out and try to market memes usually fail because they're not organic enough. They're not authentic for what the community actually stands for. And the reason why it attracts community is because that's the new marketing. That's what people want. That's what they're looking for. I mean, we're getting away from hierarchical marketing structures and corporate B2B garbage. It's all about communities now. Community is the currency, in my opinion. And if you don't have a way to kind of connect people in a global community, you're toast. I mean, it doesn't matter how good your tech is. It really doesn't matter.
One thing that's cool about memes, just on the thread of marketing, is traditional marketing tends to have a hierarchy of approvals. So you have business people, people who are not anonymous, who have names, reputations tied, and memes are the first communication channel that you don't have to have a reputation. It's really speaking for itself, and so there are no rules, and that makes it way more powerful.
Yeah, I think an important part that you mentioned before with like the cringy memes is sometimes when you see these memes, you can literally tell that behind this meme it's the creator, which is an old white man, usually, and thinks our fund is funny now too, or our project, our chain is too. Now taking it cross-chain and getting these communities to interact with each other, when projects like SushiSwap deploy on a new chain, is it part of the value that you bring your culture and your memes with you or with them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like anybody can deploy the Uniswap v2 code, but we do it, and we have a sushi logo. And I think that's what brings the value, right?
And how can you, like speaking of this, how can you use this, and this is again for everybody, how can you use this actually to get people maybe from one community, to bridge from one community to the other community, and have these communities interact, or even have a community work on 1.5, 2 chains or 2 projects? Would it be possible to use memes to bridge this gap?
I mean, like when we deployed to Polygon, a lot of some of the sushi like stakers moved over to Polygon, and I think there was cross-pollination there. But we've like deployed to other chains, and it's like not gone as well as Polygon because there wasn't like an organic community to begin with, and you can't really kind of like make that, right? Like that's has to kind of like exist, and you have to capture it.
And speaking of like this culture of memes, again, we're very much like in this whole Ethereum space, all of us. But why does like cross-chain memes why don't they have their own culture besides of just bashing each other?
I've always wondered if they actually do have their own culture, and I just don't see them on my Twitter because I only follow Ethereum people. Yeah, because I've learned that there is like memes around the Cosmos ecosystem and whatnot, but I don't see any of it because I don't follow anyone from Cosmos other than Marco, who's sitting right there, and he doesn't follow anyone else, so it's not a very productive following. But yeah, I think it might be an issue of visibility more than anything.
It's a good point. Eva, at the graph, again, a very similar question to the beginning. Do you have a department of memes? And if so, what does it look like? How do they work?
No. I would say everyone is part of the department of memes, because to me, memes are a narrative, right? So if you code, you can do a meme in your code. You could meme in your code. We can meme on Twitter, whatever it is. I think people should be empowered to meme without repercussions, because part of memeing is dark comedy, and so dark comedy implies perhaps sometimes offending someone or saying something contrarian, and I think memes allow us that space to do that, whereas traditional marketing doesn't.
So it's kind of also like a coping mechanism, right? When you use satire for like very serious topics or humor to cope with them. Yes,
and also to propagate controversial topics. Like, I would say what Edgar was doing last week with the MEV conversation was memeing. It was in the form of text, and what resulted was actually a lot more productivity between the MEV community. And so that's like a very dark meme that turned out quite positive, perhaps because now maybe we'll, be more efficient.
Yeah, maybe you should. Oh, Anna, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, also like memes just are ideas. Like the word comes from like memetics, like memetic desire, and like memes turn into projects. DeFi was a meme originally, and like Party Bid, for example, was just a meme originally, until it became a project that people wanted to work on. I think I guess people just see things and. Actually, no, I didn't have a thought. This mic is taking a stand in protest of this panel.
Yeah, I love actually the notion of memes coming from mimetic and like this cross-pollination from head to head, certain ideas pushing kind of like through the gene pool of memes. Or the gene pool of ideas, as Richard Dawkins put it in his book. And I was going to say to your comment, Eva, you should be a little bit we should be a little bit aware that we've got a troll on the stage, and if you start to call certain things supportive and like productive, then Dean will go through the roof and feel like, yeah, this is okay. But speaking of you, Dean, you were actually one of my favorite Twitter trolls. He's no longer trolling, for everybody. Rip in peace trolling career. What was the biggest meme of a project that you've ever seen or that you trolled?
I mean, if we are talking about a project that completely capitalized just the meme and the neckbeard economy, it's Chainlink. Right? Like, Chainlink is just that. I hope that I end up on a 4chan meme right now. That's why I'm saying this. It's the Link Marines, man. Those guys are fucking peak.
When will we see, so you said the neckbeard economy. We saw a few early projects at ETH Berlin. I remember with Meme Lords. There's a new meme project coming. Will memes at some point will be a global currency that we can use and exchange value with?
Oh, God. I mean, there was that Pepe coin, right? I don't understand any of those things. Maybe. They might be fun. I think Eva probably has a better take on this than I do, because I feel like we've had this conversation multiple times before.
Eva?
But I don't understand any of it, no.
I presume if you want to start bartering with NFTs and memes became NFTs, maybe. But I don't see necessarily currency unless there's like real utility. Like if you're creating a meme protocol and there's a governance meme token, perhaps.
I mean, we already are trading memes. Like
ETH is a meme.
ETH is a meme.
I'll just go back to what I said before about it's the new form of marketing. It's traditional corporate marketing is hierarchical. It's top down, and memes are just the bottom up version, right? It's peer-to-peer marketing. So will they become currency? They already are. I mean, Bored Ape Yacht Club is not a meme. I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, and all of this stuff is memes. So, and that stuff's expensive now. Holy cow! They have whole communities around this stuff. That is your access token, right? To own one of these NFTs. So, I think it's inevitable that we're going to see this stuff go mainstream in ways that we haven't even thought about yet.
I think money already is a meme, right? Like if you think those green paper rectangles in your wallet right now are valuable, that's only because we all think so.
Yeah, I think this is it is a meme, and probably the unfunniest meme of them all. Because we are the joke. Great. I remember actually before Pepe Cash came out, the project that Dean referenced, that was kind of like early NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain with Counterparty. Before that, people were trading Pepe memes on 4chan through eBay, where you had the zip folder with Pepe memes that not even the owner saw, and he sold it for a few $100. These were good times. And when Rare Pepe came out, Pepe Cash, I was walking around and telling everybody, stop what you're doing with every ICO. Stop searching for the use case, because we got it. Trading paper cash on the blockchain. This is the only thing we need. Nice. We reached the top of our panel. It's open for question from the audience, if anybody has questions. Otherwise, you also feel free, you're invited to stand up and describe your favorite memes. Because describing memes always fails. Any questions so far? Marco, was this a hand that you raised? I thought it's this. Great. In that case, thank you very much to all the panelists. Thank you very much for turning up. It's continuing here with cross-chain everything. One talk after the other. It's just going to get crazier and crazier, more cross-chainer than you can think. Thank you very much.
Okay. So next we're going to have James Prestwhich and Billy Ludke, wherever you are, Billy. There he is.
Somebody told me.
Honestly, yeah.
Maybe I wasn't supposed to.
Okay. So you're going to take this. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so James and Billy, for those of you that are like watching me, looking at me right now, James and Billy are going to talk about how Ozan and Joseph are talking to each other. Now it's good. Hold on, we're going to sanitize these because COVID. Okay, so James and Billy are going to talk about the history of cross-chain, everything that's ever like counted or been slightly considered cross-chain, the current standards of what we consider to be a cross-chain communication, and then they're going to talk about like what they see in like the actual future, in the connected future. So yeah, that'll start in a second. Cool. I'm gonna. Hey man.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. What's that? Oh, I don't think we have one. I just got told about this like 10 minutes ago. No. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Or we could. This is a good splash screen. We could just leave that up. Nope. What's that? I think it's us too. Yeah. Apparently we're just like talking to each other. Okay. We just got told about this.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sit, I think.
That would be great.
Sit.
Yeah. Should we just do like this? Thanks, brother. Good luck. You're leaving me? No. Oh, I need you to clap for like everything that I said, even no matter how stupid it is.
We're supposed to keep them.
Or just ask someone else to do it. No, you don't. You can go. You can go. That would be so funny.
So we were talking earlier. There's you know Bill Warren?
Yeah.
So I offended him because I called him. There was
Billy?
a guy from Denver. His name was Billy from Shapeshifter. And I'm like, hey, it's the Billy show. So he's like,
For 15 minutes.
Megan, okay, Megan. Hayat.
no, you can't call him
Hayat.
Billy. That's Billy Ludke.
Nice. He is Bill,
He's Bill.
and I feel like I'm Billy. He's Bill, and I'm never gonna be Bill. It's just never gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. My dad's Bill.
Yo.
He's just like a man, and I'm just like a child. So, yeah, we're hanging. Oh wait, sorry. Thanks.
No. Ozan, would you
Going
please
quite
sit down?
nervous, but well. Totally.
So I think in
I started
Stanny!
Layer Zero, and I'm just trying to,
Stanny,
it's very nascent, but I'm trying to like bring intention to
move your butt.
people layer. Because
Okay, so like in classic fashion, it seems like obviously memes attract a lot of people, as we've just proven here, and now you can like literally see it in real life. So people are going to talk about real tech stuff now, and you know, we use the memes to lure most people in, and here we go. So James here, maybe many of you have seen him. Billy here, maybe many of you have seen him. They're going to talk about like the history, the now, the future of what cross-chain really looks like and how it actually exists. So yeah, you guys just have a conversation and we'll listen.
Hey everyone, I'm Billy, and they say there's like a percentage of people in the world who are like more scared of public speaking than death, and that is me. And I'm like very nervous to be here right now. But yeah, I've been in the space for a while. Started off as like a small-time GPU miner way back when. Ended up like helping build the blockchain consulting practice at Ernst & Young. Then I was at Consensus for like 4 years doing a bunch of random stuff. And presently I started something called Layer Zero, where I'm trying to, I think that like we've had a relatively like robust Layer Zero, which is the people layer, organically emerge, luckily, which is pretty collaborative and cooperative. But I think that we can do a little bit better about adding like a little bit of intention and strategy to the people layer process. So that's me, and great to see y'all.
My name is James Prestwhich. I've been working on crypto stuff for 7+ years now. I got started working on counterparty and Bitcoin things back in 2014. So the previous panel talked about rare pepes. I built some of the things that accidentally created rare pepes a very long time ago. These days I work mostly on cross-chain communication protocols, bridges, that sort of thing at C Labs, the company that produces the Celo blockchain. Cool.
What should we talk about?
So I think Carrol told us to talk about cross-chain things and like the history of this. When did you get into blockchain stuff?
Like late 2012, I started GPU mining.
Do you remember, so you were GPU mining, do you remember Namecoin?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Did you know that Namecoin was the first cross-chain system and it was endorsed by Satoshi?
That's incredible.
Back in the... back in the day, they came up with this great idea called merge mining, where you would use Bitcoin's hash rate to secure Namecoin as well. Namecoin has since, really, really died off. It was kind of in the handshake vein of replacing DNS with a blockchain. So merge mining was the first cross-chain system to ever be built, and it was built between Bitcoin and essentially the first other chain to launch, Namecoin. So cross-chain tech is about as old as blockchains are, and Satoshi worked on it.
Isn't Dogecoin also like merge mined with Litecoin or something?
Yeah, Dogecoin is merge mined with Litecoin. So we have like a decade of deployed cross-chain stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. And I think that like everything is kind of to some extent cross-chain at the moment, just because I feel like everything is extremely nascent, and I don't think that like even though there are like a lot of communication silos, like they talk about in that last panel, where people aren't exposed to the streams of communication that maybe exist in other L1s because they don't follow those people on Twitter. I do think that like everyone's still kind of like talking, and I think that we're still at the stage of experimenting where like it all feels like to some extent cross-chain. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's where my mind goes.
Like the community is still small enough that everybody talks to each other.
Exactly, yeah.
I see a founder of Celo and a founder of Near in the room. This is ETHCC. I'm an old Bitcoiner. Like it's still kind of a pretty small community.
I'm a Dogecoin maximalist, so.
Good luck with that one.
Thank you. No.
But I totally get you. It's a small community. There's still so much cross-pollination of ideas and people. Like we move between chains pretty freely.
Yeah, and I think that like there's the right amount of kind of cross-chain communication, but I think it's also important for people to, at this stage of the game, kind of operate in their own silos. Even though this panel's about cross-chain stuff, I think that like what we're experiencing now is kind of, I think it's like convergent or convergence evolution, where everyone's kind of building in a little bit in their own silo. They all got their own ideas, their own ideologies, and maybe ethics or whatever. And I think that there's like value to be derived in, you know, experimenting with everything at this stage of the game. And then later maybe we can like all converge on maybe a single best idea or not.
Yeah, I think kind of what we're figuring out here is that there's a very limited set of good designs in cross-chain stuff. All the bridges that are deployed use like 2 or 3 total mechanisms. I'm sure they implement them in slightly different ways or with slightly different trade-offs, but you know, there's really only like 2 or 3 good bridge designs that exist.
What is your opinion on where, like, the future of cross-chain? Like, do you think that there will be a number of different L1s, each with their own niche and their own culture and their own use cases, or do you think that will converge on like a single L1?
I doubt that we'll converge on a single L1, just because like people are really annoying and dumb and can't standardize anything properly. We're gonna just keep producing L1s because it's interesting and fun and usually profitable to do so. So like I doubt we'll ever just standardize on a single chain. I would expect that there are a bunch of like functional chains with large ecosystems.
I agree. I think that makes total sense. In that multi-L1 world, what does that experience look like for the end user, especially when we're like mature to the point where we kind of are starting to obfuscate away all of the blockchain stuff from the end user?
Well, hopefully the end user won't notice. A lot of the bridge systems have new trust assumptions or latency or high overhead, which means high cost of operation. Hopefully we can get all of that to the point where the user just like sends funds to another chain and someone else handles all of the messy bits. But we're really, really a long way from that. If you go and use like the Polygon bridge today, there's waiting, there's confusing things about checkpointing. Sometimes it takes a few minutes and sometimes it takes a few hours, and it's just like not a good user experience. The real issue here, though, is that there's very little standardization of wallets across chains. A lot of people are moving towards MetaMask, but you can't use that with Near or Solana or a bunch of other chains. And even within MetaMask, the experience of going from ETH to Polygon to BSC or to Arbitrum or Optimism is really bad. You have like this network switching pop up, and then you lose your connection to the other network. And so we're really a long way from like a good user experience from this, and it's going to require a rewrite of the wallets that people have installed.
Absolutely. Another question for you. So I'm starting to see, especially with like NBA Top Shots and these other kind of user-facing applications, like people kind of assuming that, you know, things like NFTs are the same regardless of which, you know, chain they are hosted on, because they just don't know anything about blockchain and they're just like, oh, it's an NFT, so it's just like this one thing, because all NFTs are the same. Do you think that there's like maybe a concern if there is this like multi-L1 world where people don't understand that there's like differing security models and guarantees? And like, do we even expose that to the end user, or do we just like, I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting question because NFTs they're not like just an on-chain asset. They're more of a social convention. Like Top Shots, it's not the Dapper Labs Flow blockchain that makes you own a Top Shot. It's the NBA making that GIF and telling you that you own it. So the Top Shots NFT isn't about, like flow. It's about the social convention of we all agree that you own some basketball moment. And most NFTs are like that. So I don't think that cross-chain stuff is going to be much of a challenge for NFTs, because as long as we can collectively agree on who owns it, we don't need the blockchain layer as much. It's a convenient record of ownership transfers. It's not the defining ledger for ownership.
I love that. I love how I'm just like asking questions here. This is cool. We've got a question back there.
It's interesting. So what if I sold you an ERC 721 of that same NBA shot?
Are you the NBA?
Maybe. Maybe I'm a broker for the NBA or something. Or maybe I'm just a random dude.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do about that?
Well, I don't know. If
Can
I
you
bought it,
interdict from one chain to another in some way? Or can you enforce one thing, you know what I mean?
we can't really enforce ownership of a 5-second clip from a basketball game on chain. Right. There's the thing that creates that ownership is the NBA telling people that you own it. Right. So if they end up selling 2 copies of it, what do you do about it? You go complain to the NBA. If you buy a counterfeit Brooklyn Bridge from some guy on the street, what do you do about it? You go complain to the police. Yeah.
But it also means that the NBA could make 5 times their money.
Maybe. I think people would get upset about it and stop using Top Shots, but I mean, again, it's a social convention. NFT ownership is socially enforced. It's not enforced by the rules of the blockchain. As long as we all agree on who the single canonical owner of that GIF is, then it works. If the NBA or someone else in authority starts messing with that social contract, then it falls apart.
And it's social contracts all the way down to the consensus layer. So
Yep.
It's all just social games.
Turns out that humans build and operate most of these things.
Indeed. Another question for you. So you said there's 2 to 3 standardized kind of bridge implementations currently that are implemented and being used. Are you comfortable with all of them? Are there some types of, architectures that you're less comfortable with? And do you think that there's still a lot of work to do in terms of bridging solutions?
Yeah, so it's not that there are 2 to 3 standard implementations. It's there's 2 to 3 standard models, ways of doing this, and then there's a bunch of different implementations based on which way you choose. So, for example, you could have a completely trusted bridge where some guy just holds all the tokens in a key or in a multi-sig and handles the bridging part. I'm not really comfortable with that because I don't like the idea of just the whole bridge being some person or group of people in, controlling everything and having all the money.
What are some examples of that?
So Thorchain is a federation of the validators of the chain. Ren is a federation of the Ren threshold signature. If Thorchain or Ren run away with your money, there's no recourse and you can't do anything about it. There's also the BSC bridge is the same way. This is most of the deployed bridges are just you're kind of trusting a group of people with your money. I think we're probably all at the ETH conference because we don't like doing that and we want to have better tech that we don't have to trust some random signer set for. Other than that, you have the IBC, which is light client relays based. You can have more complex federations with that are coordinated by a chain that have a slightly better trust model. Yeah.
Audience question here. You both have built. Hi, how's it going, Billy?
There you go.
You both have built a lot of stuff, obviously. I kind of just wonder this about all people, and now I have a microphone in my hand, so here it goes. have you ever, and what was it, if you had either a cringe opinion that you now regret in blockchain, or built something in your past in blockchain that was like, makes you cringe now?
I think I said earlier that I built some stuff that contributed to Rare Pepes. So we worked on like payment channel tech and other things for Bitcoin and Counterparty, and you know, like not like super happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier that I'm a Dogecoin maximalist, which huge, just very cringe. It just kind of got blown out of proportion, and I was Dogecoin maximalist until like a few months ago when it just like became mainstream, and now it's not good. So that is my biggest cringe kind of attribute, I think, besides my public speaking skills. We got a question back there.
I know that James probably already talked about this at a previous panel.
There's a microphone next to you, Eric.
Thank you, James. I know that you probably already talked about this at a panel yesterday, but I don't know if the crowd here has heard that discussion before, but I would really like to hear just a little bit about optics that you're working for now. I don't know if you already talked about it too much, or if that would be okay to cover just a little bit.
Yeah,
today.
sure. So I mentioned that there are only like 2 to 3 technical models for cross-chain communication and bridging. Optics is the newest one, which is what we work on my team at C Labs. Optics is a backronym for optimistic interchain. So we get the nice, cute little name. Essentially, it's trying to find a middle ground between the trusted federated model and the extremely expensive and complex light client relays. The goal is to be, trust minimal. So there's no single person that can run away with all your money, or a single group of people. To be very easy to implement. So we should be able to get it onto mainnet in 6 to 8 months instead of 2 to 3 years, and to be reusable on many chains. So where IBC or the trusted version has to be kind of a little bespoke per chain, optics should be reusable just about anywhere out of the box. I'm trying not to focus too much on my own work at this panel, because I could talk about what I work on all day, and I regularly do. But it's I'm excited about optics. We're going to be rolling it out in the next couple months on mainnet. We're currently on Celo testnet to Ethereum testnet.
Do you have a token?
Why, are you looking to buy some? No, I don't have a token. I do have a bridge in Brooklyn I'd be willing to sell you, though.
I sold all mine at like 8 cents, mistakenly. 8, dude, I know. I held for like 7 years, and then I sold too early.
So I think if we don't have any more questions, we're going to merge this into just the next segment, which is going to be, we're going to get a couple more people up here, and it's about building cross-chains apps and actually holding the keys to the kingdom when it comes to a layer 1, and seeing what happens when you give people money to build interesting things. I think, John, you are moderating this one. Yep. This man here in the lovely t-shirt. You're saying on this. Nah, you don't have to stay on this. Get out of here. You weren't actually ever on this. I just wanted to see it. Okay. Hello, Illia. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you. How are you?
I think we have enough for everybody now.
4, I think, is good.
No.
What's that? Want to get a meme in the background?
Can you give it to me, please?
No, joke.
Oh, okay, sorry. No worries, no worries.
Joke is to get that meme that's like your panel.
Actually, I don't.
Hi. Tough crowd. Well, while we're talking memes, actually, each one of your groups sponsored ETH Denver this year. And we didn't do it in person, right? It was all virtual. Virtual Castle. Did you all do that? Did you go on that, Illia? Yeah. So I brought you t-shirts, though. They're actually 2021, so I didn't just get the old. I have some of the old stuff, too, but this is the new stuff. Pass them down.
Pass them down. All right. Here we go.
We should all just put them on, right?
I'll put it on.
Put on the t-shirts.
Normalize the look.
Now we're a team.
Yeah. The meme team.
Shameless shilling. That's what the memes are about, right?
It's coming to you every year.
Every year. See, look how good that turned out. All right, so I actually have some questions here that we're talking about actually building collaboration or building and/or collaboration cross-chain. So we were talking about this the other day, Illia. Is there actually a thing called an Ethereum killer anymore?
I don't think there ever was.
Do you have a mic?
I mean, I don't think there ever was. That was like the
memes.
There was memes. That was reaction of people, kind of, and maybe one blockchain that is not present here that was creating some of that. But
Cardano, EOS, maybe.
A
few others.
Not gonna go down that. But I think generally, first of all, decentralized networks are unkillable by design. Let's start with the basics. The whole point of building a decentralized network is that it exists in perpetuity until people want to use it and care about it, and ideally after that as well. And so Ethereum will continue existing until people use it, and given a lot of adoption, integration, and everything, that's probably going to be for a long, long while. And so nobody is trying to kill Ethereum. Now, the current Ethereum tech is not designed for a lot of use cases that people have envisioned and continue imagining, right? And there's a lot of things that people want to do with blockchain now, and new ideas pop up all the time. So I think people wanted to, at least the creators of the space, builders of the space, wanted to create these new things, to allow these experiences that, especially in 17, everybody's like, well, why don't we do Uber on blockchains? Yeah, but that's not what the current infrastructure allows you to do.
Well, they tried Arcade City.
They tried. I mean, there is the main part, yes. Yeah. But in general, now we have technology. Now we have focus on experience on end users and all those things to bring this all real applications that people that actually will transform how these markets work, how some of these people treated, etc., and allow it to be global. So that's kind of where I'm pretty sure all of us want to be, and that's not about killing, right? It's about creating new value. It's expanding the ecosystem. It's building bridges and bringing value around, and kind of moving it and making sure that people can use it.
So on that note, when I think about the first discussions around, we opened ETH Denver to cross-chain stuff in 2019. And we got a lot of crap for it. Everybody, oh no, it's got to be ETH only. And I think 2021 we had 9 L1s, something like that. I mean, not all of them, are thriving communities, but they're trying to. That's why they come to ETH Denver, right? So what's with the shift from sort of competition to collaboration? Because it seems like that's really where we're going, right? Is we're moving away from the killers concept, Ethereum killer, as the core meme, and now we're building bridges. So what do you think that's about?
I mean, I don't, like, we were collaborating since we started. Like, we were, chatting with Vitalik in 18.
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I can still be critical about the, funding and process of development of specific clients in Ethereum, which is still true, that, there's like very little people actually developing current ETH1 clients. That is a problem, and people, should be like addressing that. And I can get, crap for that, but that doesn't mean, like, that's actually, at least from my perspective, like, Peter is struggling. Like, he's been tweeting about it all the time. The core developer for Geth, they only have few people working on Geth. Separate point. Yeah, I don't know. Like, for us, I mean, we've done a whiteboard series. We've, talked with all the protocols from the beginning. We've, talked with Ethereum. We've, tried to suggest ideas for ETH2. We've, interviewed and created first, I think, blog post that explains what was ETH2 back in 18. So, yeah, we've been we've been talking with consensus folks for a while. Like, I remember at DEF CON 18, we were talking with you guys as well. And so, like, we always were there. I think maybe, there is some kind of not always acceptance of other layer ones in some communities in Ethereum, but I think a lot of people in Ethereum want to work together, because at the end, we're all pushing toward the same direction. And I'm hugging the microphone, so I'm going to pass it.
Yeah, you kind of are, dude. We didn't actually do introductions, so if you guys just want to, like, on the next question, let's just introduce yourself as you're answering it. So let's talk about technical challenges to this multi-chain future. We're not talking about the social or user stuff yet. This is just the technical challenges. So do you want to give us your best on what you think that the top priorities are to solve this?
Sure, yeah. And then by way of introduction, hi everyone, I'm Marek. I'm the CTO and one of the co-founders of C Labs, which is one of the companies building out the Cello platform. Yeah, in terms of challenges, I think James Prestwhich touched upon a little bit in the previous session. I think we have various different types of bridges that people have been building. And I think the holy grail is really the one that is verifying state in a smart contract from the other chain, right? And I think the most efficient way to do this is to use a like client, actually execute the like client protocol in a smart contract in both chains. And as James correctly pointed out, to do this well across many different chains out there is going to be a multi-year effort. And so it's certainly a very, very big challenge. And I think it requires chains to make progress on their own light clients so that they can actually get light enough to execute on other chains. And then we need to continue to write these algorithms in code that actually can execute in smart contracts on all the other chains. So that's one thing that we're working really hard on. We are currently in the midst of the final stage of our Powers of Tau ceremony for our ZK Snark setup for a protocol called Plumo that uses snarks to effectively prove that a header is part of the chain, effectively using snarks to prove the like client protocol. And once this is deployed on Cello, it'll be a lot easier to then run these verifications on other chains to be able to do these kind of like client kind of verifications across chains. But even though we're really close on our side, to get this to be useful across chains is still going to be a really big effort, because it's going to be a while before other chains can actually verify those proofs. The cryptography that we use is different than a lot of what other chains use. And then in order to create a bridge, you need to actually bridge both ways. And so other chains have to adopt efficient like clients as well. And so to me, this is a huge technological challenge. And things like optics, I think, are really exciting because they allow us to do really, really exciting ways in very trust minimized ways in the short term before we get to this admittedly very far off future.
Robert, introduce yourself, and then why don't you take a stab at that question?
Yeah, definitely. Really good information from both of you. So my name is Robert. I've been heading up R&D efforts in some of the parts of Consensus. for a while now. Prior to that, I've had a fair amount of history before blockchain. I've worked in the Silicon Valley world in a number of the large companies earlier in the career, back actually, even going back to pre-Web 1. And then most recent thing before blockchain is I did a distributed virtualized software plane for 5G networks, so a lot of just very deep technology. So blockchain, I guess I've come here from having seen in previous worlds a lot of fights between people that yeah. Yeah, fights.
Yeah, it shuts off when you say something aggressive.
That's right. So I think in previous generations of technology, there always was, and I think one of the things that's concerned me in the blockchain space is, you know, when questions are asked of Illia and others about ETH killer and other stuff, I think a lot of times that is a narrative that gets created because from a capturing clicks, capturing eyeballs attention, that's a narrative people like to hear.
It's marketing.
It's marketing, and it's just viral. It takes off that way. When in actuality, I think if you talk with Vitalik or you talk with other people, they're all very grateful of having somebody give them honest, critical feedback versus just saying, "Wow, you're brilliant," you know. And having a lot of great ideas doesn't mean you don't have a lot of bad ones. So, you know, I think this is a very appropriate discussion here on the bridging side because, you know, one of the biggest problems we have is when people are really being maximalists and saying, oh, balkanization is bad and so forth. Yes, it's good to have, you know, groups working and getting larger and larger, but humans aren't wired to feel like they're making a significant dent in something that has 10,000 people in the core. And so having collections of people working on different protocols where there's smaller teams with 5, 30 people, maybe getting to 100 distributed, feeling like it's a big fish in a smaller pond. I don't know if people are familiar with the mutualism model, which sort of straddles between, you know, the kind of evils of capitalism and the inefficiencies of socialism to distribute out power to the edge where communities can take control. I feel like when you talk with a lot of teams that work in different protocols, you know, if they're fighting, that's not the point, because the entire pie for blockchain is going to grow to take over the world. And so there's a massive inflationary expansion opportunity that's happening for everyone. But that's not exciting to write about, and that's not what sort of gets out there and gets promoted in the media. So they like to harp on people shit-talking each other.
Clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we talked about technical challenges. There are obvious social challenges, the two. You can answer it. Well, I'll wait.
Hi, Mom. It's not a good time.
I told you I'm at Starbucks. So let's talk about the social challenges. There's, you know, community challenges. There's where to buy near. You know, there's, I mean, just as an example, it's not, I'm not picking on you particularly, but like.
It's fun to learn about new exchanges to buy near. That's true.
So what are those and how
it's
are
now on Ethereum through light client based generalized bridge running by Aurora. So you can
drop. All right, I'm out. So what else is coming down the pipe? So user adoption, obviously, that's a whole nother panel topic. But you know, when the NFT conversation earlier about how Top Shots are on Dapper Labs private chain and what happens if I created an ERC-721, like, you know, you guys are doing a bunch of NFT stuff. There's DAOs that are being created in different communities. There's all sorts of different things. How does that actually play out from a user standpoint? And how do you get positive sum economics to actually play out?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think there's like few different levels. So there's definitely a social / like kind of tribal level that these protocols, all of them in one way or another gathering. And even though there's a lot of, at the end, kind of common, but people want to express their belonging to kind of one tribe. And so I think that, I'm not sure that's like, it's just what's happened. This is kind of how humans behave. Again, like from my perspective, I've always, I've said I'm part of Ethereum community. I've been at almost every single Ethereum event since I've been in blockchain space. Been supporting, been using stuff. I've been asking people since 18 who's using stuff. That answer have increased over time, which is good. But obviously there's definitely like economic sides, which are, it's an interesting balance how to create economics that works for kind of this lots of teams that working separately. Like this is actually, so I worked at Google before, by the way, Illia, co-founder of Near, as a matter of introduction. So I worked at Google before, and this whole situation of being one out of 100,000 people, and you have this like, Google stock that you rewarded, but like you have no idea how like your contribution at the end kind of rolls up, right? And so what I like about blockchain space and kind of my vision of work in general always been smaller groups, having clear incentives, clear messaging, clear kind of work they can do, and they can capture the value they create. And so this is where, like what we're doing right now is actually spinning out parts of our team to be their own projects with their own incentives, with their own token, with their own equity, whatever that is, and pretty much creating more, instead of growing a pie, let's just create more pies. We don't, like we have really like huge opportunity in front of us. Let's create more teams that can work kind of themselves. They all contribute back to the protocol. They contribute back to the space growing, more use cases. We have bridges now. It flows, like economies flowing across. So like, I don't have a clear answer how it all will, end up, but like with more experiments, with more projects, with more protocols, and like that's true about Ethereum, right? We see more protocols which on their own capture value, right? They have their own token. Like actually like economic incentives around Ethereum and tokens on top are not very clear, but like the way kind of the communities work and everything, it's at the end it still contributes to it, right? And as there's more usage, more growth in the apps on Ethereum, Ethereum captures it. And same happens with more protocols, apps on top of other blockchains, and then over the whole blockchain as well, right? As we have more bridges, more economies flowing through it, right? Like we have both Near on Ethereum and been used in a bunch of DeFi. We have a bunch of assets from Ethereum on Near that's used in Near's DeFi. Like we have, different type of onboarding for users who are not familiar with crypto, who are, are able to use in first like 15 seconds, start using crypto without even knowing what like public private keys are. Like they just enter username, set it up, and done. And then when you have a crypto person coming in, they actually like confused because like, well, where's my address?
It's too easy almost.
Yeah, it's too easy. Like they're like, this is not crypto. And so
I'm not signing a transaction. Is it actually happening?
Yeah, it's like happened in an instant. Like, oh, what's happened? Where's my waiting times? Where's block confirmations? So you have like this different kind of types of people and use cases and everything, and all together kind of, we're building this ecosystem. I think like goal for, I would pretty sure for everyone in this space is at the end is like, domination of Web3 and open web over the kind of legacy way, right? But we'll need to continue innovating. We need to continue trying new things, and we need to continue creating more teams doing all this kind of stuff. So I don't know if I answered that question, but that's kind of how I see it.
Merrick, do you want to give your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I agree 100% with pretty much everything you said. I think maybe just to add to that, I think I think the usability piece is actually what really helps here, because right now there's a lot of investment in making crypto more usable, and that is just increasing opening the floodgates of the number of people that are going to come into the space, and the only way we're going to fit them all in this space is if we have a really rich and diverse ecosystem of applications, of chains, of projects that are all working together, and I think that will actually force our hand, and I think the whole community will both benefit and grow together with that massive change. And so I think you're totally right. I think usability is just a massive enabler of that future.
So incentives. for users. We've got meme culture that drives people to use cryptos, to buy them, to hold them. When you talk about to fit all of these people, I'm envisioning like a lot of people that are going to be coming to crypto. What's the next game? What's the next layer of incentives for them, and how does that work on in a multi-chain world? And are they going to even know that they're using this chain or that chain, or are we literally going to abstract all of that away?
Yeah, I think a lot of that will be abstracted away, right? I think when when people have heard of Bitcoin and they want to come into crypto for the first time because they want to own Bitcoin, they may end up owning it on Ethereum, they may end up owning it on Celo, on Near, on Polygon. And yeah, I think many of them are not going to actually know necessarily, or they're going to really care.
Which is interesting because right now the communities care about what the projects of the chain stand for. So if we actually get to a place where it's all abstracted away, what keeps them around on one particular application or another? How does it shift?
I would say the main problem
Mike.
right now mostly own on Bitcoin on Coinbase. So let's start with that.
Say that again.
Most people who own Bitcoin are on Coinbase, Binance. It's like they don't even are on a chain. They just go to a website which allows them to enter the credit card or whatever bank and buy the Bitcoin.
Buy a pet
or Pepper or Dodge or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That is the majority. Like if you look at number of accounts that these exchanges have compared to like active accounts, at least on like actual chains, right? Like it's not that comparable yet.
We got to follow up to that. And I think the reason for that is because Coinbase is easy, right? I think if you want to own Bitcoin, if you want to buy wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum right now in MetaMask on a DEX, that is not an experience that a beginner is going to be able to go through, right?
No, not even close.
But everyone is working hard to make that an experience that a beginner can go through. And if you make self-custody easy enough, if you make transaction times quick enough, if you make the applications simple enough, people will be able to actually go and buy those assets using these DEXs on these chains. And I think when that happens, I think it's going to be really, really exciting for the space because it's going to be huge for self-custody, and I think it's going to really, just increase the access, right? Coinbase, Binance, maybe more so than Coinbase, but Coinbase isn't in every market in the world. Self-custody can be, and that's exciting.
Yeah, and I should say that, of course, DeFi has emerged as the killer app. I think actually Vitalik in a little bit is going to be giving his talk about going beyond DeFi. I mean, clearly, I don't know if a lot of people did, but I got into blockchain, really not for the money side. My view was blockchain was going to be more about self-sovereignty, about having
social change,
having, pulling privacy back in the face of technology that strips it away, whether it's government or companies. And, DeFi, I think, just like every new technology has something that pulls it in. Like, videotapes at home, it was porn. I guess the internet was porn. Okay, this time it's not porn for blockchain, it's DeFi for blockchain, money porn. And so that's what's pulled people in. But, that sense of feeling that you own money, it is exciting. But as Illia and, we're saying here is most people have given up the true DeFi experience. When you actually are custodying your own money, you have a private key and you do something, it's like, the difference between driving around a Toyota Prius or getting at a high performance Ducati. Like, one just feels exhilarating and you're like, oh my God, the power that I possess right here. I've never experienced this before, and so anyway, so that, I don't know if most people are going to go in for that side, but, when it comes to what we're seeing on the gaming side, very easy for people to understand. They're in a game, they're starting to get more control. A lot of people are getting very concerned now about things like DNA profiling, 23andMe. And so having people understand that there's ways we can hold this data and actually participate in science and other things, but retain ownership of it. And we're just going to see more and more of those cases as well. So I'm not even 100% sure that most people are financially savvy enough that it's going to just be the banking and the DeFi that turn them into true blockchain users. They may, do it through Coinbase or other things, but I think we're going to need, and that's where I'm happy we have chains that are just a lot more focused on that experience of making other use cases very accessible to new users.
So you're in the R&D side of things, and you look at like trends and patterns and emerging tech and new chains and ways of doing things. Do you have any particular favorites out there that isn't a consensus project?
I have a lot of favorites that are not consensus projects because, consensus in the end did a very smaller number of projects itself. And, I think anyone who's there now, I'm very strongly in a multi-protocol mindset. So I think when we look at layer one protocols, I think protocols that are doing things substantially different and building different kinds of communities all have validity and should succeed. In those, love Avalanche Protocol, Polkadot does a lot of great things, Cosmos, Filecoin obviously in the storage space, Near. I think, I remember we were talking a lot and you did a lot of talking in the Ethereum community and giving good feedback and other stuff. And, in the end, Ethereum did this hard shift as a process of that because we all kind of realized that Ethereum wasn't going into Ethereum 2 from a clean slate design. It had this incredible success with Ethereum 1, and it was going to have to accommodate fitting that into a new paradigm. So it couldn't shift over to WASM because it had to accommodate EVM and all of the currency and the assumptions about synchronous calls and the language, with the reentrancy mechanisms and other things in it. So, Near is, one of those valid protocols because it, in a lot of senses, actually built the, original pure vision that Vitalik was saying for ETH2, right? With the sharding, the WASM, and, and you see it when you get a wallet on Near and you go in, it just asks you, do you want to start staking? And it just handles all of that. Like the user experience is pretty flawless. So I think a really important point is as users, you don't want to send the message, and I always try to portray this, that, balkanization makes it sound like having a diversity of groups competing is a bad thing, but human excellence in a lot of cases comes from individual groups having their own persona and competing against each other. We have the Olympics and we do this because we care about how fast we can run and do these sports and other things. And you get much better innovation when different groups kind of riff off each other and someone's able to sort of not have someone tell them not to do it because they have their own community. In that community, they're God. In that other community, someone else would be and would sort of, prevent them from doing something different. A lot of cases in technology, problem is if you try wandering around and try to do 20 things, you're not going to make any progress. So it's good almost in a distro sense that you have a group that gets some charter.
Well, it's distributed R&D is what it is.
It's distributed R&D, exactly.
Yeah. With incentives, with sustainable incentives.
Yeah. And the other thing
entirely emergent versus corporate hierarchy. Well, not all of it isn't corporate, but a lot of it isn't.
Yeah, I was going to say one other thing is in terms of building up the whole new economy from little pieces at a time, we've gotten now to this much better idea, which is that all of these different communities that are adding value in connecting chains, in particular verticals or in different layer ones or different layer twos, they all have the mindset of exiting to community. Either they started as a token or if they started centralized, they're exiting. And that to me is leading to a much better future. Part of the reason we collapsed from Web 1 to Web 2 was the only structure that we had for organized companies at the time were these IPOs and going out to the stock market, which once it takes control of the board of directors will, generally, corporate social good is a meme. And they turn towards profit motive, and
of course
we'll see it every time.
That's their incentives.
And the hope is with enough of these distributed communities, the DAOs competing, there being enough alternatives and so forth, we could avoid this in this humanities transition.
Okay. Can I get a time check? How much more time do we have? No, I know. What's our? Somebody want to tell, half hour per panel?
Yeah, we're 3:28. I think Vitalik's talking 3:35.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up in just 2 minutes. So can I just get a rundown from you guys on your predictions on the advancements over the next, like, why don't we just talk about your biggest thing on the roadmap that you're most excited about that you can talk about?
I mean, so I'm excited about DAOs kind of as a general sense, because this is a way to empower communities, to give them tools to kind of, pretty much it's going away from this idea that you need to create a company to do something, and then you need to have a corporate hierarchy and all the stuff, and instead saying like, hey, we have a group of friends, let's start a DAO, let's create some value, let's maybe work together, maybe invest together, maybe contribute together, and then we have a bank account, we have ability to create activity on chain, we can do stuff off chain. So that's like as a basic component, which then grows into social, into investment, into governance in general. And so one of the things kind of we're doing in Neo ecosystem is establishing a kind of a treasury DAO, which will be kind of a centerpiece of the future governance. Because honestly, like this is, I think, like my belief in Ethereum, like as a technology, like it's all about evolution. And so I think one of the important pieces kind of for everyone in this ecosystem is figure out how you're going to be evolving, how you're going to be growing. And so establishing that path and like testing it out, like I also believe in, test and iterate. Like that is, I think, one of the most important things that we're working on right now.
Mark?
That's cool. Yeah, DAOs are definitely really cool, and Celo also has a community DAO. But my prediction, I think, is going to be on payments. So I think blockchains now are getting easier and easier, Celo as well, and things like even paying for gas with stable coins is becoming more common. It's widely supported now on Celo. And so we're finally at a place where you can actually send stablecoins really easily to people, to merchants, to your friends, to phone numbers even, in fully decentralized ways. And so we're really on the cusp of being able to use crypto for payments at a really wide scale. The thing that's holding us back right now is no longer really the blockchain tech. It's really the on and off ramps, the ability for people to cash in and out really, really easily into stable coins in every market around the world. And so now there's this massive effort going on by literally hundreds of companies to kind of compete in that race. And it's all happening right now. And as these companies launch and succeed, we're just going to have all of that friction removed, and it's going to be just absolutely amazing for payments.
Robert?
All right, I'll keep it brief. I think a meta trend that I'm most excited about now is that, from a year and a half ago, I think now there's a playbook that, apart from, the wealth that's been created in decentralized blockchains reinvesting in itself, there's now a playbook that the traditional investing space, which is, $10 trillion or so, can understand, that's compatible with the ethos of blockchain, which is investors coming into companies that are largely centralized but have a very clear path and agreement of progressive decentralization and exiting or selling from the investor's perspective to the community and becoming a full DAO. That model was not really clear to people a year and a half ago, and now it's become very clear, and I'm very positive on it because I think it's just going to be a renaissance for all startups effectively saying this is a way to do it.
That's great. Well, that's all the time we have, so thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the shirt. Are you going to take it back now?
No, you're going to keep it. You're going to keep the shirt. I don't know. I think so. They said there was 3. Yeah, I don't know. That was Danny's thing. I'm a mushroom. I'm kept in the dark and fed full of shit.
Yeah, it's not entirely fault. Like, I remember when there was a while where, like, Joe was talking to Dominic and he was all like, oh, well, Definity is an Ethereum killer. How the hell is Definity, which is like cloud computation, decentralization, and tokenization, Ethereum? Definity has another problem. But I'm saying them trying to say that they were going to like be an Ethereum.
John cannot explain what the hell
No, I just turned it all off. Because it's not on. You just gotta like hold it.
Good pieces.
Yeah. Okay. So, because we don't have another one in here for 4:45, should we just like go to the top stop and come back? Or?